Hey guys, it's your double E, Ena Esco, and you're tuned in to Shifting the Paradigm.
Miss Ena, we are just so thankful to have you on Shifting the Paradigm. We truly appreciate you for being here. So can you just tell us just a little bit about yourself?
Okay, well, thank you for inviting me. Like I said before, it's kind of different to be on the other side of being interviewed. I have a little anxiety about it, but thank you guys so much for inviting me. Well, I'm Ena Esco. I'm a 20-year radio vet. I started podcasting in 2018 out of the need to want to have my own voice and interview people that I thought were interesting. So I couldn't do that on iHeartRadio. You know, I had to stick with the programming and do what they wanted me to do. So I said, okay, well, I'm gonna get into this thing called podcasting. And so I had created a list of people that I wanted to talk to that had ties to Memphis. And so started Verbally Effective, created my own multimedia company called Ivy Multimedia. So under Ivy Multimedia, we have Verbally Effective, we have the Difficult Beauty podcast, and the newest podcast is I Pledge the Grind. And the goal with Ivy Multimedia is to welcome other podcasters to come up under the umbrella, and we will help produce their podcasts and, you know, distribute and get them out there. But other than the media side, I'm originally from Beaumont, Texas. I moved here in the Mid-South in 1995. My dad is a retired Army veteran.
Wow.
And moved to Memphis, which was totally different from Texas. So I had to get acclimated to the mains and the junts and, you know, but I fit right on in, You know, they taught me how to juke at Raleigh, Egypt.
Okay.
But I graduated from Millington. So my life has been a lot of transition. So what people may not know is that I've always held a corporate job. So I've done media on the side of holding down a corporate job. I still have one to this day.
Wow.
But I love broadcasting, I love media, and my true love now is podcasting. So,
Okay.
That's a little bit about me.
All right, that's dope. So you are an HBCU graduate
Yes.
from Lemoyne College.
Yes. Lemoyne College.
So can you tell us just a little bit about that experience, and was that an influence for you to go into radio?
Oh, definitely. So let me tell you about Lemoyne College. Like I said, my life has been a lot of transition, and I actually moved with my dad when I was 16. And so you got to imagine, I was going into my junior year of high school. Then here we go, another high school, went to Millington my senior year. And I was a really great volleyball player. And my dad was like, well, baby, I ain't got no money to take out no loan. I ain't taking out no loan. So, you know, you got good grades, you need to get a scholarship. And we like at the nth hour of graduating, right? And so Lemoyne was looking at me to recruit me for volleyball. So the Coach Nedra Brown, she's my heart. She came to my house, sat down with me and my dad, told us about the Lemoyne College, and she had us sold. I had a dual scholarship. They offered me mostly athletic, and academic covered the rest. So I had a full ride. And I played volleyball for Lemoyne. But after my second year, after my sophomore year, I went to Pledge, aka Dish Volleyball. My coach was so mad at me. But you know what? I wouldn't take nothing from my experience at an HBCU. Lemoyne College really shaped, I would say, a lot of my character and ideas. I learned so much about our Black culture.
Okay.
And when you're in the city of Memphis, you know, this is a majority African American, you know, demographic.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of take a look around like, wow, you know, we've made strides, but we could do much better. There's so much opportunity in the city of Memphis. And so those are some of the things that I learned from Lemoyne College. I was actually Miss Lemoyne in 2000. So I held the crown.
Wow.
And did a lot of public speaking. And so my senior year in college, I met Devin Steele. He DJ'd one of our AKA parties. And so, you know, he DJ, and I was like, hey, my name is Ena, nice to meet you. How can I get on the radio? And so he looked at me, he was like, what you want to do on the radio? I said, I want to be a broadcaster. He was like, well, if you're serious, I want you to come to the station Monday morning and talk to the program director. I'm like, okay. So Monday morning, went and talked to the program director. His name was Kegel. And he kind of set me down. He was trying to read me and stuff, asking me a bunch of questions. And he was like, well, look here, Ena, I'm not going to start you off on the air because you don't have any experience. He said, but what I will do, I'm going to give you a chance at being a research coordinator. So as a research coordinator, this is what, like 99, 2000, right? I had to go to the different record stores. We had Pop Tunes, you know, we had actual record stores back then. And as people bought the music, I would ask them, you know, what made you buy that? You know, I was collecting data for the radio station. And so maybe after 3 months of doing that, I did some promotions as well. They was like, well, Ena, it's your chance to get on the radio now. I'm like, okay, it was like 12 o'clock midnight. I was so scared, but after I did my first break, they said, well, you did better than we thought. How would you like to do weekends? I was like, sure. So that's the beginning of my radio career, and LOC, as you can see, transitioned me into radio.
Awesome, awesome. So
yes,
that time was pretty much, I would say, pre-social media.
Very much so.
So would you say that there are any advantages of having social media along with your radio personality, or do you see any disadvantages?
Definitely. Well, it's a little bit of both.
Okay.
It's a little bit of both.
Let's talk about
social
media.
Yeah. I love social media because you can use that platform to extend your brand, right? So when social media came on the scene, you know, it was something new, but in the same token, people can reach you that you don't know, right? That could be good, that could be bad. You know, you never know who's online, who's catfishing your ass, you just never know. So, but I utilize social media heavily. If you follow any of my platforms, I'm rolling out promotions. I'm promoting everything that I do. So in that aspect, social media is great. It's great for networking with people. But the thing to me with social media now is, of course, Instagram and Facebook has gotten hip to the people that you can reach, right? So they want you to pay for it. That algorithm can be a bitch. Yes. So, you know, let's say I make a post, I'm thinking everybody that follows me is gonna see it. I have over 8,000 followers, right? I'm thinking I'm gonna reach them. You're not. You're gonna have to pay Instagram and Facebook to touch all of those people.
That's
so
true.
To me, you know, it's kind of like you gotta pay to play. But hey, that's the game. But I think social media definitely has its advantages and disadvantages. And, you know, I can't imagine back in the day when I was in college, we had social media. Everybody see, you know, all the stuff that we was doing back then, baby. I was like, oh, Lord, I'm glad social media is here now when I'm good and grown and got some sense, right?
All right. So, Miss Ena, being such an influential woman in the city and surrounding areas, do you ever find it necessary to use your platform to bring awareness to issues that probably may be difficult to address?
Definitely, definitely. You know, just recently, under the Ivy Multimedia brand, you know, with us being home with the pandemic, me and my producers and I was like, well, what can we do to reach people in the sense, remember when Meg Thee Stallion, it came out that she was shot
Tory Lanez.
With the Tory Lanez situation, right? And so you saw so many people beating her up on like it was her fault. And I was like, I don't like that. And so we talk about misogyny, right? So I was like, let's do something surrounding misogyny. So we immediately came up with an agenda, came up with a panel, and we did a virtual panel about misogyny. It was called The Black Woman, the Most Unprotected and Disrespected. You may have heard that from Malcolm X, right? Yes. And so it was a powerful, I think, panel, and we extended our platform to talk about this somewhat taboo topic about misogyny because it exists. And you know, when you think about it, Black women are on the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to, you know, socioeconomics, just in corporate America, in the media. When you think about misogyny, it affects us all. So, you know, we definitely try to use our platform to put certain topics on shine, as you can say. Coming up, we're going to do a virtual platform regarding this upcoming election. We're going to do it actually after the election, though, because whether it's Trump or Biden, are you really happy? I mean, I'm not personally happy with either of my choices. So it's like we're really forced to pick the lesser of two evils, right? So we want to talk about how do we move forward after this election. So that's going to come up end of November, early December. So I'll keep you all in tune with that particular platform. But we definitely use the platform to talk about social issues.
Okay, great. So with being on your podcast, Verbally Effective, versus being on the radio, do you feel that you may have more freedom to speak your mind to be verbally effective?
Definitely. Like I said in the beginning, when I worked in radio, radio cool. Radio can definitely, get you followers and people that know your name. But like I said, radio has an agenda. Radio has promotions that they have to follow. Exactly. You can, extend your personality on radio, but you can definitely have your entire personality on 100% on a podcast, right? Because it's your own. You shape it and make it to what you want it to be. Okay. So that's definitely the difference with radio and podcasting, which I love radio as well, because to me the reach in radio extends, globally. So could a podcast, but you have to put that work in on the podcasting side. You got to put it in.
All right, Miss Ena Esco. So we're going to continue on with the podcasting questions, right?
Okay.
So what has been the most fulfilling in stepping out into podcasting, right? Besides the being able to, have your own voice and the freedom, or that may be it, and or what was the most challenging when you first started your podcast? You can answer either one of those questions how you want.
Okay. I'm going to answer both. Okay. I guess podcasting is very fulfilling because I've been able to meet so many people in the city of Memphis, entrepreneurs, politicians, creatives. I don't think if I ever started this podcast, I would have actually been able to sit down with those people and hear their stories, because they've gone through so much. Because, a lot of times when you see a successful person, you be like, dang, how did they became successful overnight, but that's not the truth. Like, you never know what they've been through. And so that's what, to me is so fulfilling when I can meet these people, and when after the fact, someone may email me, hit me up on social media, or I meet them in person and they tell me, hey, I heard the podcast with so-and-so, and that encouraged me to do my passion. That's so fulfilling to me. Of course, it was very fulfilling when we were selected to go to South by Southwest. I mean, oh my God, y'all just don't understand. I was at my corporate job hollering and screaming in my cube, and everybody was like, what's wrong? But there have definitely been challenges with podcasting. I would like to say I was kind of spoiled in the beginning because I had everything in my fingertips on a technical level with studio, right? Because people wonder, how can I make my podcast, come off well? It sounds good, looks good. I had that with iHeartMedia in the beginning. And some of the challenges I went through with podcasting was music licensing. That's something I should have researched a little better, because I used to ask my guests, what's your favorite song? I'm gonna intro the podcast with your song, and I'm gonna outro it out. But you can't do that. You have to have permission from the artist to do that. So when you post it, it may come down. So that's one of the things that I definitely had to learn with music licensing. Sometimes, you may seek someone out to be a guest on a podcast, and you think that, hey, they're going to be transparent. They read my email. Everything's going to go great. That's not the truth. Sometimes you can get a guest that is not very open. You may have to scrap that interview, and that hurts me and it hurts them too. But hey, that's not what we agreed to. So those would be some of the challenges with podcasting. Okay. And at this point with the pandemic and not being able to go to a studio of my choice, that has kind of shifted me and made me pivot into figuring things out for myself. So So using the resources that I have at the house. So, you know, I got the ring lights and all of that like y'all, that's what I'm doing now. So it can kind of be fulfilling, yet challenging at the same time, having to figure it out once you've been so spoiled with, you know, all of the goodies of the studio.
Right. You know what, and that, you know, that's a great segue into my next question. You know, by you, the pandemic affecting your studio time and you being able to go to the studio and utilize equipment, you have become self-sufficient, right?
Right.
So let me ask you something. Do you think podcasting, as a result of the pandemic and, you know, making people be more self-sufficient,
Definitely.
will it thrive in the future?
Definitely, definitely. The pandemic has made us all reevaluate our life, right?
Yeah.
And with podcasting, you know, me not being able to go into the studio, I'm like, dang, you know, I want that sound, that studio sound, and, you know, all the things that I want and I had have changed, right? So I definitely had to invest in some digital assets to make the podcast sound the same. But that took, you know, more money to do. But I think that's a good thing because, you know, you never know what's going to happen. You're not going to always have a studio at your fingertips. So I'm glad the pandemic made me pivot into creating my own home studio. You know, it's not the best, but it's what I got, so I'm working with it. But I think the future of podcasting right now, you know, you can do a podcast on your phone right now. Hello?
Yeah.
So if you're interested in doing it, go for it because you definitely can get it distributed, post it on all the major streaming platforms right now if you want to. So, yeah.
You know what? Let me say this. You a grinder. You know, you one of the hardest working people that I've seen, you know, do your thing. I watch how you put out content. You always working. You always got something going on, right?
Yep.
How important is the grind process in building your legacy?
Ooh, wow. I mean, the grind process is everything. You kind of think about, you know how they say you can't keep all your eggs in one basket?
Yeah.
You got to do a little bit of everything. And even when I was in radio, I kind of branched out into doing my own thing with my sorority, with hosting things for different people because I knew I couldn't just depend on radio all the time. So that was very advantageous for me when I started podcasting because I'm going to tell you this, podcasting has opened the door for so many opportunities with television. I had become a stand-in on Channel 3 News for Water Cooler Wednesday, all behind the Verbally Effective podcast. You know, to me, you have to grind out here. I tell my kids all the time, you see how your mama been gone all the time working? And I say, you see how it's paying off? They understand. And I want them to grind, you know. Like I got a 15-year-old right now, I got him grinding right now. So, you know, in this industry, you definitely have to grind it out and pivot into different opportunities and different things that deal with your passion. So grinding has been very profitable for me.
Indeed. All right.
All right, well, Miss Ena, we definitely appreciate you once again for
Thank you.
being here on Shifting the Paradigm. Would you like to shout out any social media where people may be able to follow you?
Definitely. You guys can follow me, Ena Esco. That's ENAESCO. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter. Also follow the website, verballyeffective.com. If you guys are interested in being a guest, you can go on there, check out the episode, submit to be a guest. Me and my producer, we're trying to, you know, just talk to multiple people. And I have a new podcast called I Pledge the Grind. Now, this is the podcast that I want to go global. So just hit me up on social media if you guys are interested in being a guest. That podcast is all about how you are pivoting in this pandemic and still grinding it out, right? Also check out A Difficult Beauty. Follow A Difficult Beauty. This is for my ladies. You know, we talk about the ladies today, right? So this podcast deals with some of the challenges and triumphs that women go through. So definitely follow adifficultbeauty.com as well.
Now that's with
Sanaa, my producer, Sanaa Marie. Big shout out
Marie.
to Sanaa because when she joined me maybe 8 months into podcasting, everything just shot up. I love that girl.
Wow.
That's my star rod too.
Well, we
Hey,
definitely,
Marie.
we definitely have to get her on Shifting the Paradigm as well.
Thank
She's
you.
very busy along with you. And once again, Miss Ena Esco, we thank you so much for joining us here. And please, man, just keep grinding like you're doing.
Yes, sir.
We wish you big success in the future. And we salute you, Miss Ena Esco.
Thank you guys. I'm gonna have you guys on I Pledge to Grind in a couple of weeks.
Peace.
Body.